right, it is September 29, 2021, and it's been about a week since the new iPhone 13s became available. And I don't know, I've been kind of thinking about getting the iPhone 13 mini. Now, it'll be a little bit interesting because the iPhone 13 mini is basically a downgrade in every way compared to my iPhone XS. Now, obviously not in terms of the processor because that obviously is not going to get worse with every year, and certainly also not in terms of the camera. Again, the cameras tend to get better year after year, but in most other ways it's kind of a downgrade. So for example, the battery will be smaller on the mini compared to my XS. It's uncertain if that will translate to a smaller battery, smaller or shorter battery life, but certainly the battery will be smaller. The screen will also be smaller, clearly. The storage will also be smaller because my iPhone XS has 256 gigabytes. I did spring for an upgrade because I was thinking about doing more video with my iPhone XS, and so I got the upgrade. It's 256 gigabytes, and I hardly use that space. I think my iPhone is currently using only about 60 gigabytes of that space. So I clearly don't need all of that space, and so if I were to get an iPhone 13 mini, I'd probably just go for the new base storage, which is 128 gigs. So that should be enough. But that is still a downgrade. I think it'll also be a bit of a downgrade in terms of build quality. Personally, I think my iPhone XS is the most beautiful phone I've ever owned. I think it's one of the most beautiful phones that Apple has made. I love the color, the gold color, the shiny sort of curved stainless steel rails on my particular iPhone looks fantastic. I love the shininess and the curve, right? So I think it's a bit of a downgrade, right? Going to the iPhone 13 mini, because first of all, I'm not inspired by the colors that are available this year. But then on top of that, you've got these sort of matte aluminum sides, which are far less premium looking, and because it's aluminum, it'll scratch easier. Now I know that's a bit of a subjective thing because a lot of people like the flat side design, and I actually owned the iPhone 4, right, which was the first time iPhones got the flat sides, and I thought that was the most beautiful phone when I had that one. And I think it holds up. The iPhone 4 design holds up. But if I'm to be honest, I still think my iPhone XS is the better looking phone. The iPhone 4 looks better than the iPhone 6 that I had. I think that phone looks pretty cheap in comparison, but that's because that phone was mostly aluminum. It was aluminum around the sides and on the back, and it's got that matte finish, which I particularly love. So the iPhone 13 mini will be a bit of a downgrade. Now, why the mini? Well, because I just don't want to deal with large phones. The iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max this year are both heavier compared to before, and I just can't deal with large heavy phones. I already find Charlotte's iPhone XR to be too big to comfortably hold, and so even though I'm kind of a camera nerd, and I would love to have the better cameras of the 13 Pro and Pro Max, I just cannot deal with the weight. I don't want to deal with the weight. I'd rather have a small phone. And as for the camera systems, I know it basically inherits the 12, iPhone 12's camera. Um, so it's not really the state of the art, and it's not an improvement on the 12, but it will certainly still be an improvement on the 10s, which is what I have. I'm probably the most excited about the selfie camera because I find the iPhone 10s selfie camera to be a little bit lacking, and the new iPhone 12, no, sorry, the new iPhone 13 mini has an updated 12 megapixel sort of selfie camera. Again, the same as the 12, but updated relative to this. So that's it. I'm still thinking about it. I'm not quite sure that I need a new phone, but if I were to get the iPhone 13, it would probably be the mini at the base storage, 128 gigs. Now, another interesting thing when it comes to upgrading iPhones, I don't know if anybody else has the same problem, but I find the whole sort of storage thing to be an interesting conundrum because, previously I've had small storage phones. My iPhone 4 was 16 gigs, my iPhone 6 was 16 gigs. And so this was the first time, my iPhone 10s is the first time that I've had this much storage, right? 256 gigabytes. And, I only use a small fraction of it, but it's still enough that iCloud is a problem, right? I used to just have the free version of iCloud, which was 5 gigabytes. It certainly isn't helped also by the fact that I now have an iPad, which is also competing for that iCloud space. And so when it comes to, backup, this became a bit of an issue, because now that I'm contemplating replacing my phone, I have to worry about transferring settings and files and stuff like that from this phone to a new phone. And because my iCloud space has been full for a long time, this thing isn't backed up, and so how would I set up my new phone if I were to get one? All right, so that was kind of an interesting conundrum, and well, I'm sad to say, well, Apple won because I ended up springing for more iCloud space. So now, yes, I am paying $3 a month to have 200 gigabytes of iCloud space. So this thing is backed up. I find it kind of a problem, and I'm not sure why it is. My iPhone backup size is like 30 gigabytes, and I don't know why, because I explicitly do not want my photos backed up from my iPhone, and still the size is that big. I don't get it. And that aside, I'm interested in hearing how people deal with the issues surrounding photos and backing up photos, because I came from an age where photos were taken by film cameras, right? And so if you had pictures, you would print them out and you store them in your closet, right? And even when we moved on to digital photography, I took pictures of my camera and I transferred the files from my camera to my computer, and that's how I stored those pictures, right? But in this modern age, most people are taking pictures on their phones, right? And their pictures never make it off their phones. So how do you upgrade your phone when you have that many pictures on your phone and nowhere else, right? So I think Apple and a lot of these other phone companies have sort of created this economy where you now have to pay for cloud storage as a solution. to this problem. You all have to back up your photos to iCloud. So yeah, is that how everybody's doing it? You're just handing Tim Cook money? Yeah, I've clearly joined your ranks. I'm now paying Tim Cook's $3 a month to use iCloud, but you know, I still ended up backing up my photos onto my computer. Dumped all of the photos and videos from my phone onto my computer. So when I go out, so if I end up getting the new iPhone 13 mini and I set it up in the store, am I going to have any of those pictures on my phone? Probably not. Hopefully not, because I explicitly turned off, you know, photo backup. You know, that would be my experience, my iPhone upgrade experience. When I get a new phone, probably all the settings and apps will transfer, but none of the photos will. And all those photos are now on my computer. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there. Part of me just doesn't want to give up my iPhone XS. It's such a beautiful phone. In fact, I've probably put in a bunch of B-roll footage of this phone just because of how much I like the way it looks. So anyway, that's it. I'll see you in the next one.